Imagine this catastrophic scenario: a city where not a drop of rain has fallen in more than a year. Terrible fires, fueled by an extraordinary catastrophic phenomenon. What are the Santana winds? A wind that blows dry from the desert, where Death Valley is, the highest temperatures on the planet. So, that dry, hot wind blowing through the canyons and fanning the wildfires. Firefighters rushing from all over the city. And guess what? When they connect the hoses, there is no water. Certify yourself in BIM. Become an expert in BIM at a super price. Link in the description. Hello, how are you all? My name is Pablo Viadas. As always, it's a pleasure to greet you. And look, we are going to talk about a constant and real danger. That is the risk of fire. And what can we do to prevent this risk? Like earthquakes and hurricanes, it is a risk that we have upon ourselves and can threaten our properties, our heritage, our belongings, and our lives. Let's talk about the risks of fire. And in this case, in a city like Los Angeles, which is a city where half of the population is of Mexican or Hispanic origin, however you want to call it. But in Los Angeles, people speak Spanish. What can I say? Well, there are parts where you forget you're not in Mexico because everyone is speaking Spanish, etc. And more, increasingly. I mean, this has spread more and more because more people are arriving at the beginning of January 2025. At this moment, several fires break out. It has not rained. There is a water problem. Los Angeles has always had water problems. Look, they have aqueducts that come from the Varas Mountains to the north, where San Francisco is, bringing the water down. When they did it, now that they review it, if today ecologists were to review it, they would not allow that to happen. But back then, a guy there said, I'll make an aqueduct for you, made tunnels, whatever, and diverted entire rivers to bring water to the population of Los Angeles. Aqueducts that are in service, but even so, it's not enough. The city grew, there are desalination plants, but even so, it's not enough. The population has continued to grow. So the water problem in Los Angeles is constantly. Yes, I mean, there are a lot of pools, but it's the same water they're recycling. Look here, this is the Hollywood area, precisely where there are many artists' houses. So, you see, the flames arrive. And it's that the same embers, the coals that are burning, are blown by the wind and start to set the roofs on fire. Many of these houses are made of wood. And, well, what happens is this: since energy is expensive, etc., etc. And here, a lot of air conditioning is needed. Wooden houses tend to be better insulated or more thermal, so to speak, allowing the air conditioning to work with less energy. We are going to have an air conditioning course. Every year, we offer this air conditioning course. Don't forget to sign up. Well, we only hold it once it starts to get warm, around April. Well, then, just imagine the firefighters arrive. What are they going to do in this scenario? And with a little stream of water or a handheld extinguisher, what can you do there? Well, wait for it to burn out on its own, because what can you do in that scenario? Look, a hill of this size with this little stream of water. Well, it's impossible. They are practically tied up. Well, this is tremendous because of the wind. The dry Santana wind. It propels the ashes, the embers, the burning coals, and another house catches fire, and another house catches fire, and people take out their little hose and so on. The fire consumes it very quickly. It is truly catastrophic. This is an aerial view taken from a plane of the extent of that fire. This is one of three. Just imagine, this is the city of Los Angeles. Over here comes the port of Los Angeles. The airport should be around here. But look, this is the famous Malibu Beach. You have surely seen this TV series of 2.5 Men. Of course, it is filmed in a studio, but it's supposed that the actor's house is located there. So, to get oriented, what is this? But it's a city where I tell you, half of the population is Mexican. Just like that, plain and simple. Everything is in Spanish. There's Spanish and English. Well, a lot of people from China have arrived now. A lot of Chinese is spoken too. Just like in downtown Mexico City, where they want to speak a lot of Chinese, it's the same. That's how it is now. Well, what do you expect? The world has become a tiny marble. Look, this is a view where I don't know if it's an arrangement on the Google Earth map or an overlay, but roughly to situate ourselves. I'm going to show you the map here. Look, this is the part where I'm telling you, here are the Malibu beaches, and this part here is Hollywood. Yes, they are around here. Well, over here on this side are the Universal Studios. Around here, in this part. If you have been there on vacation for the rides, it's here in this part. Well, but here is the Griffin Observatory. All this part here is the one with the fire. The most intense fire process in this part. But here, look, just as the map of this is indicating from Google Earth. It's here, there are fires in this part, there are fires around here, and there are fires here. There are 3 very strong fires from a wind. A wind that blows from the desert. Here is the Arizona desert. There is Death Valley, the highest temperatures. Places where not a drop of rain has fallen. Look, there is a place that catches my attention. It is Tucson. In Tucson, there is an Air Force museum, immense. And there they store all the planes that the United States Air Force does not use. They place them there. And there are rows and rows of planes, thousands of planes. Why do they want all that? Well, the place is perfect for storing planes because it's dry and it doesn't rain, so they don't rust. So, if they need spare parts or need to take out planes for some war, etc., etc., they will take them from there because it has never rained there. Well, imagine what kind of wind comes through here via these channels at a tremendous speed. 60, 80 kilometers per hour, a dry wind that drives the fires. So, there's no way to stop. And the problem is the water. Los Angeles has always had water problems. There's an aqueduct that was built from up here, where the snowy mountains are. The aqueduct comes down here toward Los Angeles, through this part. But that was done in the century before last. So now the problem here, well, they have already put in desalination plants. They have made a lot of effort, but even so, it is a huge city. A city of 4 or 5 million inhabitants. And I tell you, half are either Hispanic or descendants. Same here in San Diego. Also the same, that is, a lot of people have arrived, well, not arrived, it was always a Hispanic city, you know? It's not called Los Angeles for nothing, San Francisco for nothing. There were always Mexicans there. But well, the population, well, the Mexican population here in this area is huge. And look, I'm seeing here, this is from the Daily Mail. Daily Mail, I think, is the newspaper. Look at the photographs. These are the artists who are devastated, the poor ones, because they lost their homes. These are the artists. Well, they will surely have me. But the population that didn't have insurance, look, here they are. The photographs look impressive to me, don't they? How they are there, right? So, all these people have lost their homes because of this terrible fire. And I'm telling you, the problem is they're there. Look, they have us here with a dry hose, right? And now, what do we do here? Well, there's no water. Look at them here, opening the outlets. And 3 drops of water. Well, it got to the point where the people in Malibu went down to the sea to try to take water from the sea to put out the fires. But it might sound good. There is the sea, so connect to the sea. But the sea rises and falls with the tides. There is sand and everything. Where do I put the hose? If I put it over there, well, on the ground. It sucked up sand. And now I can't, well, the pump, right? So you have to go to the deeper part, and the firefighters are there with the hose line trying to reach the deepest part of the shore. Well, they have resorted to taking water from the pools that were there, but it doesn't last. How much can a pool hold? And the amount of water you need, which has to be pumped, well, it's a true tragedy and a desperation for the firefighters. They don't have water. The planes or helicopters arrive. They take water from the sea or from some lake nearby. From the sea, it's very difficult because it's often rough. Not all the planes have the capacity, right? And neither do the helicopters to handle the waves. Usually, it must be a lake to fill with water. And that's where they go and return. And well, they drop the water. So it's really tremendous. And look, I was going to tell you, wood, because then they say, hey, all houses should be made of concrete. Well, don't go thinking that concrete is invulnerable to fire. Neither concrete, nor steel, nor wood are invulnerable to fire. Look, for example, concrete under a very intense fire at 1000 degrees can carbonate and it detaches from the reinforcing steel. The reinforcing steel softens and collapse occurs. The wood, I will tell you, while it is burning, just as it is here. Here the wood, for example, if this was 30 centimeters, even though this part has burned, the beam now behaves as if it were 20 centimeters. This continues to function structurally, so the wood will endure. A little more than steel or concrete. Of course, it's combustible. It's going to keep burning, and so on. But in terms of time, to escape or try to fight the fire, wood does give us an opportunity. It gives us a bit more time. Remember, for example, that the Twin Towers were made of steel. Well, we don't talk about that because the algorithm cuts us off here. But look, why can a fire in a house or a warehouse reach 1000 degrees? What happens is that the air gets heated by the fire. And this overheated air goes down the wall, re-enters where the fire is, and rises. But since the reheated air no longer has space above, it goes down the walls, comes into contact with the fire again, and rises again. It's a cycle that can easily reach 1000 degrees. If you observe fires when firefighters peak, the first thing they do is break the roofs to let the heat out. It's the first thing they do. They break the roofs so it escapes in warehouses, in places. They break the roofs to let the fire out. And this high temperature cycle does not occur. Because at a given moment, this becomes so intense, so hot, that opens a window, a door, and comes out just like a dragon's flame. So tremendous this here. So look, by the way, I recommend our Revit fire course, Revit, specifically for fire protection systems. I mean, all these pipes that, look, the most effective way to protect a facility from a fire is with sprinklers. They have a reservoir, they have a tank, it could be an elevated tank, and the water circulates by gravity through the entire network. They have a fuse for each of the sprinklers. As soon as the fire goes up, the fuse breaks and the water comes out. It is the most effective thing for combating fires. And look, an installation does cost money because it is piping. Well, usually it's galvanized iron, is not that expensive. But believe me, to protect the contents is the best there is. And in your house, even if you have a fire extinguisher around, at least a long hose, in case something happens in the kitchen. Be very careful. For example, there are people whose oil catches fire. Then the hood and something else catch fire. But never pour water on the boiling oil. It explodes. Terrible. Cover it with a pan, a cloth, a blanket, whatever you have to put on top. Turn off the fire under the pan. And if the pan is on fire like that, cover it with something. Do not pour water on it because it explodes. That is a piece of advice that is tremendous. And look, fires in Mexico, well, yes. I'm not going to say it happens daily, but every so often we see a fire in this warehouse, a fire in that place, a fire in that house. Well, if it happens, then you have to be very careful with the risk of fire. Okay, I'm going to show you this. Excuse the cough I have. Look, this is the course we have on Revit Fire, where we teach you how to do a fire protection installation, including the sprinklers, the systems you need, the pumps, the hydrants, the hoses. Well, how to do the entire installation in a small structure, just as an example. It's an example of a small structure. But here we can already see how the entire sprinkler system should be designed, how the tanks should be set up, all in accordance with the official Mexican standard and the international standards of the National Fire Protection Association of the United States. So look, everything is being taught. Guess what? We included the sprinkler libraries for you, the boxes where the hoses go, etc. All for equipping your installation. And from there, they take out all the plans, all the parts according to regulations, and a part of the theory explains how far the sprinklers should be, how they should be. These are the sprinkler boxes. Over the hoses, the sprinklers are placed here. They must be at such a distance, depending on the substance. Well, everything. so that you can